Hey guys, and welcome back to Flatpak Effects, the place where I teach you all the tips and techniques for creating your very own animations and video effects. In this video, we're going to be diving a little deeper into our expressions and having a look at one of my favorite expressions, the wiggle expression. Now, I make weekly tips and tricks videos just like this one, so if you're new here, maybe consider subscribing so you don't miss out. So up until this point, we've had a look at some basic expressions, and you should have a better understanding of what expressions are and why we actually use them. Now, you can always go back and rewatch any of the previous videos to catch up to where we are now. So let's have a look at one of my favorite expressions, the wiggle expression. Now, this is one that I use all the time. It's easy to remember and has a wide range of uses. Now, in its basic sense, it allows you to quickly add camera shake to your static camera shot, or it can be used to add shake to a layer to give it a bit more life, or give text a real dynamic impact. Typically, you would have used hundreds of keyframes to achieve this manually, or by using a plugin inside of After Effects. The basic formula can be applied to any layer as wiggle, open bracket, frequency, comma, amplitude, close bracket. Frequency is basically how often or the speed change in wiggles per second. Now, I can show you this here by increasing the frequency to show you the difference of how this number affects my expression. Now, amplitude is basically how far do you want that movement to be. I like to think of it as an invisible ring around the center. The larger this number, the larger the boundary of this invisible ring. Now, if we put these two numbers together, we can see the effect playing out. Now, you can mess around with either of those two settings, and now you can see the difference that it makes to the wiggle expression control. Now, again, this series is a basic introduction to expressions, but the point I really want to get across that if we reverse engineer the code, we can start to break down those barriers, and it actually starts to make a lot of sense. Now, the thing I love about expressions is that you can expand on any basic shortcode by adding more and more functions as your knowledge expands. So the great thing about this wiggle expression is I can take this expression a step further by adding a few more functions to the mix. We currently have wiggle, open bracket, frequency, and amplitude, close bracket. But say I added these two functions to the mix, octaves and amplitude multiply. In this expanded equation, octaves controls how much detail is in the wiggle. Make this value higher than the default of 1 to include higher frequencies, or lower to include amplitude harmonics in the wiggle. Amplitude multiply is the amount the amplitude is multiplied by for each octave. This value controls how fast the harmonics will drop off. The default is 0.5, make it closer to 1, and you have the harmonics added at the same amplitude as the base frequency, or closer to 0 to add in less detail. Now, don't worry if that's not clear and it completely went over your head, because what I recommend is just adding some numbers in and actually seeing the results appear in front of you. That is really the best way I recommend to learn, is through trial and error. Make an adjustment and see what happens. Now, one last thing I recommend when using the wiggle expression is to come down here and turn on motion blur for both the layers and the composition. This will just take that wiggle animation to the next level, really giving that professional finish. So there you go, guys. There's a basic look at the wiggle expression. If you like this video, you can give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down. You can also check out more great After Effects tutorials over at flatpakeffects.com. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.